As you probably have already seen, Xbox has announced its own price hikes, which pretty much consist of games starting to be priced at $80. They haven't specified really which games, because they said, yeah, some games are gonna cost $80 in the coming fall. And also the consoles are gonna be hiking in price. I'll put the prices on the screen, because there's no point in like stating every single price, every single increment, so you get to see the picture. You probably already seen it. But yeah, I mean, I did make a video for the Nintendo announcement as well when they announced the Switch 2 when the price was high. So I said, don't be surprised if games start to be priced at 80 or $90. Also, like, just for for reference, today GTA 6 was delayed as well. So that's gonna be, in my opinion, GTA 6 is probably gonna be a $90 game, but definitely $80. So keep that in mind. Next year, GTA 6, $80 at least, if not even 90. But yeah, so Microsoft increases the prices. People have been saying, well, it's because the tariffs, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy it. Tariffs may play a part in this, but $80 games are not, in my opinion, because of the tariffs. That's just Microsoft's trying to push people into making a Game Pass sub, in my opinion, because at this point it's not gonna be really worth buying Microsoft games day one. Like, people who have the possibility are probably going to get into Game Pass, even just to play one game, because I personally did this in December to play Indiana Jones. I did use a free Game Pass code, which is only valid once. So next time I want to get into Game Pass, I will have to buy 1 month at least of subs. But it's definitely cheaper than buying a single game. So yeah, that spells bad news, because yeah, Ninja Gaiden 4, I think it's published by Microsoft, and I'm afraid it's gonna be an $80 game. And I wanted to buy Ninja Gaiden 4 at launch, but if it's gonna be $80, even on PC, I think on PC as well, I don't think it's gonna be a price increase console only. It's probably at least a little bit probably gonna seep into the consoles, into the PC space as well. So yeah, I don't know. Even Doom Dark Ages next month, it's not gonna be $80, but I haven't seen it cheaper than 60, even on PC. So I don't know. I might have to buy a 1 or 2 months code of Game Pass, because I'm not buying a game day one for $60, even on PC, especially, let alone 80. So, but yeah, like I said, partially is because I think they want to push you into Game Pass. Second thing, when it comes to the hardware, is because they don't sell many consoles that well already. So in my opinion, they're trying to nickel and dime the few people who actually buy their hardware. They say, so few people actually buy our hardware, we might as well overcharge those people, because they are gonna buy our console. Those few clueless people, fanboys, are gonna buy our consoles anyway, so we might as well like milk them dry, because the Series X 2 terabytes is actually more expensive than the PS5 Pro, which is fucking insane. And you have to remember that Xbox Series X is a 5 years old console. This November is gonna be 5 years old. This thing costs more now than when it came out. Like this generation, like I said in my Nintendo video, go watch it. This is the only generation where prices for the hardware have increased rather than decreased, which is insane. It's an anomaly. This spells disaster for the whole landscape because it creates an environment that's not really suitable for people to get into gaming. Because back in the day, people who didn't want to spend money to buy a console, they said, yeah, let's buy the console at the end of the generation. You get most games, a lot of games, and the low prices. Yeah, imagine doing that in this generation. You get higher prices and games. Not many really games have come out that are really that good, in my opinion. This is one of the worst generations ever in that sense. So this model is not really sustainable. The $80 model for the game is not really sustainable. Yeah, Microsoft is trying to push the Game Pass up, but games are not like Netflix. It's a completely different business model. Now, from what I've seen, Sony, if I'm not mistaken, is the only software house publisher yet that has hasn't still increased the price for their games, but they probably will follow suit. But I don't think it's really sustainable, like I said, in the long term. Especially because you have to keep in mind that most people, casual gamers, buy probably no more than 2 games a year. So like their Madden, their COD, their FIFA. Those are the majority, I think, of people. So once they've bought their 2, maybe 3 games, if you count GTA 6 in a year, yeah, they're not gonna spend any more money. So you making your games more expensive, it's not really going to increase your sales. And from what I've seen, most people don't even finish their games. If you actually go and check the competition stats, this is regardless of the platform, of course, because most people just don't finish their games. So they are not gonna buy an $80 game to play it 2 hours. These kinds of people will probably like the Game Pass model because they get to try a game for very cheap. And in fact, if you actually go and check the competition stats on Xbox, they are even worse than compared to the other platforms. Because the Game Pass model cheapens the experience. So it makes you want to try a lot of games, but you don't really want to stick with any of them because you in your mind you think, I haven't paid $60 for this, so I don't really like that much, so I'm not gonna keep playing it. Like I said, it cheapens the experience and it deludes you into thinking you haven't actually bought a game full price, so you're not gonna finish it. As opposed to when, for example, if you spend money on a game, even if you don't like it that much at the beginning, you might stick with it just to see, yeah, I've paid full price for this. I might as well play it a little bit more to see if I actually get to enjoy it more, if the game clicks. It has happened to me a few times that the first few hours I didn't really enjoy a game that much, and I was actually thinking maybe I should drop this. It actually happened to me with Kingdom Come. I had really enjoyed the first few hours, but then I decided to stick with it because I'm not really a fan of dropping games. Personally, I buy a game, I try to stick with it until the end. I try to see the good in it, even if at first it doesn't really catch my taste, let's say. So that's why I'm personally against the Game Pass model. Like, I wanna play my a game at my own pace. I don't want to like keep paying to play a game indefinitely just because I have to pay for a sub. I want to buy my game. I want to play my game at my own pace. That's why I don't really like the Game Pass model. But I can see casual gamers enjoying this kind of approach. But like I said, I don't think it's feasible for most people because you also have to consider that most people probably play one game at a month at most. If they, I mean, if they play it, yeah. So paying full price for the whole year of Game Pass, I don't know. I'm not sure it's a good value for most people because your time is limited. You don't have enough time to play all the games. Even if there's a few games coming out, you don't have actually the time to play them all for the most part. So I don't know. It's different than Netflix. You can watch a show in a whole day, but you can't finish a game like, I don't know, for example, Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, it's on PlayStation, but you can't finish that game in a day. That's what I mean. And yeah, it's a model that doesn't really work for games. And also you have to consider that with these price increases, the whole model for the console starts to become not really what it was supposed to be, because consoles were supposed to be affordable. People claim, yeah, consoles are cheaper. You can get into gaming with a console way easier and way cheaper than with a PC. But is it really true nowadays? Like, even if you buy a base console, like PS5 base or Xbox base, they're still around $500 now. So, and $500 the console, you have to pay like 60 to $80 for a game if you want to own them. You have to pay for the online portion as well. I mean, it starts to become pretty expensive, honestly. Now considering they've hiked the price of the Xbox, which makes them even less relevant, because who the fuck is gonna buy an Xbox? If you actually watch their estimates, their financial reports, their hardware has been on a steady decline for at least a year. Each quarter, their hardware drops at least 10%, 5%, 10% drop at least. If this keeps going, nobody's gonna buy their next generation console. They might as well not even make one. So the industry is not really in a good place because the quality has been going down. This was the generation of remakes and remasters, if you actually got to experience it fully. A lot of games were remakes or remasters because ideas, developers have run out of ideas. They don't really know what to do anymore. Remakes are cheaper to make because you don't actually have to put in the same amount of work, and you actually get to put out a game that's already proven to be successful. So you don't even need to put that much thought into it. Like, let's remake Resident Evil 4. Yeah, one of the most popular games ever. No shit, it's gonna sell. So it's been a very lazy and slow generation in that sense. The worst generation ever. High prices, low quality. There have been a few decent games, but not enough to offset the whole thing and make it worth it. Like I said, remakes have been the telltale sign that something is not right, because they're banking too much on brands and names that are successful because they have a history of being successful, but you can't just rely on those while you take too much time to put out a game. Like nowadays a game it takes 5 years to come out when everything goes smoothly. So it's just not feasible. The current business model is not feasible. A game can't take this much to come out and cost this much, because then what happens if it bombs? Yeah, the studio goes down. That's another problem. Bloated studios, too many people working on these games. I don't really think it's necessary, honestly. This might be a contrarian opinion, but if you remember, in the PS2 generation, we will get bangers every year. Games took at most 3 years to come out in the PS2, Xbox, first Xbox, GameCube, Dreamcast generation, and most of the time they were good. There were a lot of good games. So you don't really need bloated development teams. You just need a few people with passion and vision. That's all you need. Well, it's a problem for people who like the higher budgets and the bigger, better graphics. If you like AAA games, yeah, it sucks to be you, but I don't care about AAA. I want games that are good. Games that have good ideas, that are inspired, that have soul, which most games today don't. They are made by committees. They are put through the lens of committees, corporate committees, and if they don't meet certain criteria, they don't get greenlit. And it's killing gaming as a whole. No creativity, no passion. And even if there is the passion, gets strangled by the corporate aspect of everything that needs to be successful. It needs to sell 10 million copies or else it's a flop. Everything is unsustainable. I personally would like things got smaller. They scale down a little bit. If we got back to the in between the PS2 and the 360 generation, I think that was the right compromise. Because you will get games that were somewhat expensive, took a little bit time to come out, but they weren't still that crazy in terms of budget and everything. It was still sustainable back then. But now, no, now it's yeah. I mean, $80 games. Are you gonna buy an $80 game? I already know I'm not going to. I think most people are not going to buy an $80 game. I'm gonna wait for sales. Or if I can, I'm gonna get a 1 month Game Pass code. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I think I've said everything. Consoles are committing seppuku. So, but yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys, and I wish you a good weekend and catch you next one. Bye bye.